Hi guys. Angela asked us to do a little video about our recovery, so that's what I'm going to do. My name is Sandra, and I am an alcoholic and a drug addict, and this is.
I'm Betsy, and I am also a drug addict and an alcoholic.
Today I have a little over 19 months clean. My clean date is February 23rd, 2019, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how it is possible to stay clean in recovery, and no matter what, don't pick up. First of all, if you're new, we love you, we need you, please stay. Um, I grew up in a place where I never had opinions of my own. I was so afraid to. Have opinions of my own. I just wanted to be liked so much. Let me back up a little bit. My first instance of life was trauma. I was dropped on my head, and
When?
December 31st, 1984.
What? When you were born?
Yes.
Okay.
So my first second of life was traumatic, and because of that, the message that I got, and this is how it plays into my story, is my parents had to continuously take me to and from doctor's appointments, and to see if there was something wrong with me, physically, mentally, emotionally. I was continuously being pulled out of school to go to different doctor's appointments. So the message I received is that there was something wrong with me, and I lived like that for a very long time, as if there was always something wrong with me. And I was that type of person that wanted you to like me so bad that I would, pay for your dinner, or buy your drugs, or drive you around, or buy your drinks when we went to the bar, because I knew that if I was paying for you, then I knew you had to like me. And I spent a lot of time running away from myself. Today I'm 35 years old, and I did the geographical change from South Florida to North Florida to Georgia, back down to South Florida, and now I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. And I am not a one-chip wonder by any means. I've had multiple relapses. I've had multiple bottoms, emotionally, physically, and I'm that type of addict that, I don't stop using until something stops me. Playing that tape through never stopped me. I would know if I go out and I smoke crack tonight, I know that two things were going to happen. One, I would continuously do that, and I was either going to wind up in rehab, or I was going to wind up in jail. And the third one is actually death. I would tell myself, oh, I'm just going to go use this one time. And for me, like today, getting a little recovery in me, I know it's not just used one time. I know that I sparked the phenomenon of craving when I put a drug in my body. There is no off button for me. Like I said, my drug of choice is crack. I call myself an alcoholic as well, because at the bottom of that beer bottle is a crack pipe for me. That's why I have to stay away from all mood and mind altering substances. And this time coming into recovery, I've been trying to get clean since 2011. Going into rehab, getting kicked out of rehab, using in rehab, going into halfway houses, getting kicked out of halfway houses. And it just was simply like I wasn't ready, And at the time, I thought, all these relapses, that I was doing exactly what I was doing, and I was skating by. I think for me, this time around, almost 19 months ago, is I finally took the suggestions that they give us. There's an IOP program that I went to 19 months ago, and the owner of that program looked at me and he said, you have used up all your mulligans, and we're preparing for your funeral here. And that really, it got my spark for recovery to be like, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. And the first thing that I did this time around was in this IOP program I was in, they call it making a wheel. Get a wheel, which means your support group. And I connected with people. I would call people, and I was scared to death to call people. I didn't want to call you. I didn't want you to know who I was. I didn't want you to tell me about myself. I didn't want to ask you how you were, because really, like, honestly, did I care? No, I didn't. I was just learning how to stay clean, So that made the world of a difference, I know that everything does not get better just because I put down the drugs. But I'll tell you what, life in general is better. You know what I mean? Like, once I got clean, like, I had a whole new pair of eyes, and I was no longer stealing from you. I was no longer lying to you. I was no longer, trying to get something from you. I learned a lot of things in recovery. I learned how to look at people in the eyes. I learned that people actually like me for who I am. And for me, like, my life today is designed to be clean. Like, my life does not work ripping and roaring and smoking crack and doing all these shitty things that we do when we're out there. It just doesn't work. We all have our bottom, and everybody's bottom is their bottom. But for me, my bottom can always go lower. If I pick up again, I'm risking that. There's nothing that stops me. Because all I have on is those drug goggles. And in my program, they say jails, institutions, and death. And I've gotten 2 of them. I'm not willing to find out the third one. They say to get a sponsor. And for me, the first time that I got a sponsor is I got a sponsor because I knew that woman had to answer the phone. I was told that was her obligation, And because I was so fearful of this program. I was so fearful of doing the steps, And, but as long as I gave this program a shot, it was really, I gave myself a shot, I have a lot of trauma in my life. I have a lot of loss in my life, I was at a meeting earlier today, and they said, it was a powerful share. And this woman said, we don't go back out and relapse when things are really bad. We go out and we relapse when things are really good. And I have to keep that in mind because that is my story. I like to self-sabotage. It's like when things are going so well, like, how can I fuck this up today? And, today I have to tell on myself. Today in this program, if I'm having a good day, I need to tell you if I'm having a good day. If I'm having a shit day, I need to tell you I'm having a shit day. I need to open my eyes to this program and let it work for me. And today I'm glad to be clean. So thank you. My name's Sandra, and I'm an addict.
Thanks, Sandra. So my name is Betsy, and I'm an addict and an alcoholic. And my sobriety date is June 16th, 1991. So I'm in my 29th year, going into my 30th year of continuous sobriety, which is, it's unbelievable. So I am here to tell you that, yes, you can stay sober. For me, my drugs of destruction were alcohol and cocaine. It was really cocaine, I thought, that got me in the door of treatment. And it just definitely brought me to my knees. This was back in the 90s. Yikes. While I was in treatment, I learned that I'm also an alcoholic, and that was very difficult for me to accept because I just didn't want to be an alcoholic. I was fine being a cocaine addict. I knew I could never do cocaine again, but I did not want to think that I could never have a glass of wine at dinner again, or a Grand Marnier after dinner, or MD-20 out of a paper sack. It didn't matter what it was. But it's true. And I realized somewhere down the road, along the way, that cocaine may have gotten me into treatment, but if I were ever going to relapse, it would be on alcohol. It would not be on cocaine. Alcohol is easily accessible. So, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. It was a roller coaster the first year of my recovery, first probably couple of years of my recovery. I had stellar days, and I had days where it was just really, really shitty. I had gone to a place, once I got out of treatment, it's a clubhouse in South Florida called the Oasis Club, and there was a nucleus of people there that were solidly sober, and I somehow managed to get hooked up with them, and I found my sponsor that way, Edwina. She was my sponsor for the first 8 years of my recovery, and I had old-timer friends, people who would say the same things in meetings over and over and over again, and people say, oh, it's the same stuff, it's the same story. Well, yeah, I'm one person, I have one story, but I also have 29 years under my belt, and I can tell you a thing or two if you really want to know. So if you feel that way when you're in meetings, instead of looking at that with contempt, maybe go tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, how about a cup of coffee? Can we talk? I could really use some of your wisdom. So the other thing that helped me a lot when I was young in recovery was to get involved with service work. And at Club Oasis, it was they had bought a building that was actually the home of a football player. I think he played for Cleveland, and his house was taken from him due to back taxes because he was a convicted cocaine felon. So, very ironic. So Oasis bought this house and turned it into a clubhouse, and it had a yard, and I love gardening, and so I took it upon myself the first year that I was there and just completely transformed this backyard into this garden oasis. And it had squirrel runs, and it had bird baths, and it was really pretty. And it was there in that garden, in the dirt, with the worms, and the bees and the birds, that I really started to connect with my spirituality. And that is where I found God. And I'm not religious. I've never been religious. In fact, in treatment, I said, I don't believe in God, I'm mad at God, and my therapist, Tim McQuillan, very wisely looked at me and said, well, Betsy, how can you be mad at something that you don't believe in? So that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, was with Tim McQuillan in treatment. And it grew, So I had some friends in recovery that were my age. There was a lot of relapse going on, and I watched a lot of people that I had formed connections with Go Out. Some of them died. Some of them made it back. Some of them I never saw again. But I kept putting one foot in front of the other. And what kept me sober many times was when it started to look good to go use, I would think of all the work that I had put into my recovery, and I was going to be damned if I was going to give it back. It would make me angry. And I'd go to meetings and I'd be pissed off. And I'd share. I always sat in the front row. I was told, sit in the front row. And I sat in the front row. I did what people told me to do. People that I respected, people whose recovery I wanted. And, put up your hand and share. I put up my hand and shared. And I hated it. And I was scared and I was uncomfortable. But you know what? I was sober. And eventually, I stopped being scared, and I stopped being as uncomfortable. But I'll tell you, to this day, I'll sit in a meeting, and my stomach, if I need to share, my stomach gets this feeling in it that if I don't share, I swear to God, I'm gonna throw up. So, I put up my hand and I share and I tell people that here I am. I'm Betsy, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. This is what's going on with me today. And I'm like Sandra, I'm transparent today. If people say, how are you doing? I'm not going to say fine. I haven't said fine in 29 years. I will say good. I will say I'm struggling. I will say my outsides are going to match my insides. So the other thing that helped me was to start to set some goals. So when I got out of treatment, they handed me 3 business cards of 3 female therapists and said, Betsy, I was 33 when I got sober. The last 22 years of your life you've been using, and you need to, am I over?
205.
Okay. And I need to, you need to keep working because there's a lot of work to do. So I met these people and I picked a therapist and I started to work with her. And I worked with her for 8 years, every week, sometimes 3 times a week. And it was during that time of my life where I realized this woman was having such a huge impact on me, that I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I enrolled in junior college. It was actually community college back in those days. And I didn't think I had any brain cells left, honestly. I thought I was just a total mental train wreck. But I did, and I finished community college and I transferred to a bachelor's degree, and then I ended up getting a master's degree in mental health counseling and became Florida licensed and nationally board certified and Holy Toledo, at the age of, I guess I was 40 when that happened. I started my career, and for 23 years I was a therapist, and I was also a clinical director, and I helped probably 1,000, maybe more, people in treatment come through treatment. Some stayed, some left, some lived, some died. But I put my head on the pillow at night, every night, knowing that I was fighting the good fight, and that helped me. So get out of yourself. When you're in the shit, pick up the phone and call somebody and say, how was your day? And let them talk to you. Get out of yourself. Get into somebody else's realm and let them help pull you out. So that's how I did it, and that means it's over. So just no matter what, don't pick up.
And if you're new, we love you, we need you, please stay.
Please keep coming back. And sometimes, sometimes it's just for today. Sometimes it's just for the next 5 minutes. Sometimes it's for the next 30 seconds. Whatever it takes, break it down into smaller increments, and you can do this.
All right.
Thank you so much. Good luck, everybody. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.